See, actors and acting scenes, they're all missing one thing. We need to have an emotional director. See, there's a lot of things to do when you're working with directing. And a lot of times, directors get very, very, very genuinely busy dealing with all the different aspects of the scene. And many times, the directors don't have the abilities to be able to really pinpoint and direct the film with an emotional current. And this takes such an incredible amount of time to be able to achieve. So what I've always said, I've said this for years, that the film industry is missing the mark 100% on every single thing that they're doing with this. They need to be able to have what's called an emotional director. An emotional director makes sure that there's emotional continuity from one scene going to the next scene with an expansion, so that there's a spark that happens. Then it expands to the next scene, and the next scene goes in. The emotions flow from one scene to the other scene. There needs to be this type of continuity. Now, it's rare to be able to find films like this. Typically, there might be two or three or maybe four scenes that would work like that in a picture or in a film. A lot of times, the focus is on the actions of the actor rather than the emotions of the actor. And it is true. We all know acting is doing, but doing actions without emotion is meaningless. And I've said that for years. You've got to be able to take your own self, and you've got to be able to add emotion, the spark of emotion. And I have to repeat that we have to know that feelings are not emotions. Feelings are the inclinations, and there's proof of that in so many of. If you look at the that people who are very busy dating, they're dating the feelings. They're not looking for relationships with emotions. Emotions are going to be deeper, and that's the easiest way to be able to understand that. And what we're looking at in a film is we're looking at being able to pinpoint an emotion to start the project out. Then we go from there and we pinpoint another thing. Get that done. Then we go to the next scene. We pinpoint the emotions in that scene. This requires either a director that has an incredible crew with probably an additional assistant director to be able to do that, or it involves having well, historically, some of the pictures had the acting teachers, the iconic acting teachers would sometimes be on set with the actors to be able to achieve this. But we're in an industry right now where we can't depend upon, there's a lot of changes, and we don't honestly know where the industry is fully going. I think that the industry is going over, and I'm working hard to make it completely improvisational. So I'm working to be able to make films with such improvisation, where the improvisation of the scenes is going to be the focus, not the words and dialogues on the page, which there's been efforts across the board with some of that piece here, piece there. But I think that there's an entire structure that's getting missed. And the reason why we're missing the mark is because we don't have emotional directors. We don't have directors that are focused on emotional preparation. We have directors that are working very hard in their own way, but they're not. They'll respect the talent and the acting techniques of the actor to be able to be prepared in their own sense. But at the same way, we're struggling because we're in a way where it doesn't really hit the emotional mark. We don't actually have the focus of the picture being actually on the emotion. We don't have it being on the interaction. We have to understand that acting is the we want to be able to put the emotion, the spark of our emotion going into interaction is what sells. It sells everything, every single thing. It sells because it's innate to our bodies. It doesn't sell because it's a gimmick. It sells because it's authentic. And when we're able to activate emotion, to be able to get ourselves upset in a certain area, then we need a director to be able to say, you know what, that emotion from the last scene matches this emotion with this scene. And as actors, we can't take that on. Well, we can. We can take it on ourselves. And some actors have no choice than to take that on themselves, and then they have to continuously, as actors, defend the fact that they're using emotional acting techniques the entire time that they're doing the picture, which is the overall brushstroke of the industry. That can absolutely, completely, radically change, as we actually are in a way that it's takes away the. We're not talking about radical emotion. We're talking about the ability for us to get the subtleness of an active emotion, scene by scene by scene by scene. And that really is the reason why I'm calling very clearly. And I've said for years that we need emotional directors. We need an emotional preparation director on all of the every single film set. We have to be able to watch the emotion. This is be an emotional continuity director, and this will change the outlook of film right across the board. Because right now, as an actor, we have to be able to do all of that work ourselves. There's only so much time that we have to be able to do it. And even if we have the time, it's then a struggle to be able to have and find the right people to work with that are going to be able to respect the fact that this is what we're trying to do. And this has been the plight of Meisner and Stanislavski students and every kind of other acting technique. Even when the acting techniques find emotion in a different way, there's still this struggle of of how to be able to get that emotion and spontaneity into the actual acting scenes. And the structure of filming has to change. We have to be able to understand what we do well in Hollywood, and we have to be able to understand what we don't do well in Hollywood. And what we don't do well is we don't do emotion. This is the reason why at Oscars, they're like, oh, well, we have an actor doing a really emotional scene, and then everyone's wondering if it's really the actor acting or if it's really their actual life, and then um, everyone goes all crazy trying to figure out on the actor and getting into the actor's personal business. When the truth is, it was probably a mixture of a whole bunch of things to be able to produce that kind of talent. The talent comes from the activated emotion. Sometimes you have a daydream and activates an emotion. Sometimes you have stuff that's stuck in you, that's a part of your muscle memory. And all of a sudden, an experience in your imaginary circumstance, your given circumstance. I like to call it acting interaction. You've got your acting interaction that's inside of the acting scene, and you've got everything on the outside of your acting scene. You do everything to prepare your emotion, you do emotional preparation, and then you do activation. I don't care how you activate your emotion. You just have to have it active so that you are lit fuse so that you can actually go in and do your acting. That's what an emotional director would do. An emotional continuity director would be a position in the acting films that would make sure that the actors have the preparations. It doesn't take away anything from the directors. Some directors would want to work with the emotions and some wouldn't, but it would actually be a really supportive thing for the emotionality of the film, because the regular director and the regular assistant directors would literally be in a place where they have an emotional continuity director, which would work with them. And then there would be a collaboration where there would be this stepping stone where you could actually really harness the ability to get active emotion inside of your acting. And we're talking about the ability to also do that with subtle emotion. This is the reason why I've written, what is it called? Emotionally Yours. It's the Emotions Compendium of 2100 or 2400 emotions and other things, because we're dealing with the aspects of the improvisational aspects of film, and we're taking how do I get the acting exercise. I've seen over 8,000 acting classes. How do I get all of that into the spontaneity of a film? And how do I help everyone do that consistently? And that's what we're going to be able to achieve. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks very much.